guys, welcome back to my channel. So, one of my YouTube shorts from yesterday showing me gathering the documents for the window and door permit that I was going to submit got a question. How is the process done? And that means, what is the process like for submitting a building permit application? Great question, by the way. Every city is different. So I thought I would talk you guys through what the process is like for submitting a building permit application. I have to add this in there, but like I say, every city is different. Every municipality is different. So always check with your local building municipality, your state, your city, and abide by the laws within your city and your state. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, guys, so step one, you are going to gather all of your documents. So every city, every municipality will have a checklist of the required documents that you need for the permit that you are submitting. Normally, it is a permit application, it is contractor, information, the product approvals that you need for the different materials and systems that you are using for this permit. If it's a window and door permit, the type of window, if it's a roof permit, the tile, the shingle. These are packets about the installation instructions for the materials that you're using. A lot of the times you may have supplemental forms like affidavits, notarized affidavits for the contractor and the homeowner to accompany the permit. But the most important thing in gathering the documents, make sure that the contractor that you are pulling this permit for is registered in the city that they want to do business in. If they are not, you as the permit runner can help them get registered. Simply put, you will have to get the contractor to send you a copy of their state license, their general liability and workers' comp insurance information and certificates. If they are exempt from carrying workers' comp, you need a copy of that exemption. You may even have to fill out a contractor registration form. And before you're submitting the permit, you submit the contractor license and insurance and contractor registration form first. You can either email that in to the building department, upload it to the building department portal, or you can take that in physically to the building department along with the permit you're submitting. So step number 3, now you've registered your contractor, you've gathered all of the documents that you need for your permit. Now you will take these documents, the application, maybe the notice of commencement form, the supplemental affidavit forms for the contractor or the homeowner, and you will take these documents and you will get them signed either by the contractor and the homeowner, both, depending on the city that you are doing business in. Sometimes, on rare occasions, the contractor will bring these documents to you already signed by him or her and the homeowner. Or sometimes the tradesmen themselves will bring you these documents already signed, already notarized, and you are just in charge of submitting them. I know that in my case, sometimes the tradesman, the roofer that I work with, will pick these documents up from me to take to the contractor and take to the homeowner to get signed, or he will bring them to me already signed by the homeowner or the contractor. Now, step 4, once the forms are signed, this is the most important step, and I really want you guys to pay attention to this. Check your work, like they used to tell us in school, check your work review all of the forms, make sure that there are no signatures missing, make sure that the documents that need to be notarized are in fact notarized, make sure that the homeowner's information is correct, and that is the homeowner on record that you are submitting that permit for. If not, you may have to contact the homeowner or get the contractor to contact the homeowner to provide documentation if the property has changed homeowners recently, because oftentimes, sometimes what will happen is, in cases like that, the building department will reject the permit and say, hey, this is, the records on the property appraiser are not matching. Please provide additional documentation to prove the homeowner. So just go over everything, review it, and make sure that, all the T's are dotted and the I's are crossed, everything's filled out properly. This saves you a ton of time when you go to submit the permit, and you don't have to worry about any rejections on the intake phase of the process. Now that you have gathered everything, everything's filled out, everything's signed, there are no, missing signatures or there's no inconsistent information, you are ready to submit your permit. Now, there are 3 ways you can do this. Again, this depends on the city and on the building department that you are submitting the permit for. That's why I always say check and make sure, how the permits are submitted according to your city and your state. Again, there are 3 ways at which you can do this. You can either physically submit these permits in person to the building department, which means you are taking these documents and presenting them to a clerk, and that clerk will give you a permit number. This permit number is how you will track the status of that permit as it goes through the review process. So you can do that, number 1, in person. Number 2, you can do it totally online via the online permitting e-portal, in which case, if you're doing the permit online, you will have to ask the contractor for their username and password so that you can get in to submit the documents to the portal. If they don't have the portal already set up, you can help them get set up and create the username and the password, and just keep that very, very, keep that information confidential between you and the contractor in case you guys build a relationship in the future where he or she asks you to submit more permits. And number 3, you can sometimes, depending on the building department in the city, because some of them don't have, e-permits set up, they will allow you to email the documents in as PDFs, and then they will respond back to you with a permit number. So just to reiterate, there are 3 ways: either in-person submittal, online and e-portal submittal, or email. Again, it depends on the city and the state that you are, the city, the state, and the building department that you are submitting that permit for. So always double check to see how that particular building department processes and takes in their permits. So once you submit your documents and you get a permit number, now this is where you will wait for the review to be complete by the team of reviewers and by the building department. This is one of the most tedious parts of the process, because sometimes you will get a review complete within 7 to 10 days, and but theoretically, these permits can take several weeks to several months, if you can believe it, to be approved. It all depends on the building department. Some building departments process and review permits in the order at which they are received. You have no idea where you are on that list. The best thing you can do is just wait it out and check the status every 72 hours just to see how things are going, by either calling the building department and giving them the permit number, or checking the status in the portal. This is why I like to tell aspiring permit runners, if a client asks you How long is this process going to take? Never put yourself in a box. Say, ma'am, sir, I am just submitting the documents. I have no control over the building department's review process, but I can provide you with status updates as the review process goes along. It is a tedious part of the process, but you never, with a review and with a permit, you never want to over deliver and then end up under delivering or going back on your promise, because that's how you go from a busy permit runner to a not busy permit runner. So never put yourself in a box, because the review process is what it is, and it's one of those things that you just have to wait it out according to when the building department finishes. So now, your permit goes through one review cycle, and you get a notification saying, hey, your review has been complete, corrections required, or your review has been complete, your permit is denied. Oftentimes that just means that the reviewer saw something, maybe they require some additional documentation, to complete the review process, or additional documentation that you might have forgotten to attach with the permit. Oftentimes it doesn't, I want to be very clear that corrections required doesn't mean you failed. So don't panic and be like, oh my God, I failed this contractor, I'm never going to work again, I'm never going to be a successful permit runner. No, that's not what it means. It just means they're requiring a little bit of extra information. So, even in my case, I've been doing this, now for 3 going on 4 years, and I still get corrections required on a lot of my permits, because the truth is different reviewers handle these permits. And sometimes I like to say that reviewers are like college professors. They might see something that, they might pick apart and say, hey, the measurements, you use the wrong calculations for this roof, or the survey that you submitted for this addition or this gazebo or this concrete driveway, things are a little off, could you redo it? In my cases, I've even had my contractor's permits be rejected because the reviewers will say, oh, well, we can't read the plans. Can you make them a little bit, can you make them darker so that it's more legible? So all these type of different things come up. But the best way to avoid corrections is just by abiding by those checklists that they provide you, so that you know exactly what you're submitting. But like I say, in most cases, you never really can tell. The best way to protect yourself is, like I say, just abiding by those checklists that they provide for the documentation. And if you get comments on a permit, I even heard a mentee tell me something that I try to use in my business very often, is get to know your reviewer. Now, every time you submit a permit, you may not get the same reviewer, but if you pay attention to those corrections and those comments that reviewer is saying, you then know the next time you submit a permit in that discipline exactly how to, handle that situation when the corrections are required. So just a little tip on handling corrections. Remember, it doesn't mean failure. It just means additional information. Now, finally, if the review is complete and there are no corrections required, you will get a notification from the building department saying, hey, congratulations, your plans are approved. They are ready for pickup, or they are ready to be downloaded in the portal. Now, if you submitted the documents in person, that means you will have to go into the building department and pick up those approved plans, and then meet up with your contractor to either hand deliver them to him or her, or sometimes the contractor will have you drop those permits off to the job site and hand deliver them to the homeowner so that the work can commence at that property. If you submitted it online, then you will go into the portal, and oftentimes they will have a download approved files tab in that portal. You will click that and it will give you all of the approved files. You will download them to your computer, you will print them out, you will package them together, put them in a folder, call up your contractor and say, hey, I have your approved plans. Where would you like me to meet you to drop them off, or would you like me to drop them off to the homeowner? In most cases, when a permit is ready, you might get a notification in the portal saying ready for issuance. And really what that means is the review has been complete, no corrections required. What's happening is right now during the ready for issuance phase, the building department is assessing how much the contractor will have to pay to get the permit released, the upfront fees and the final fees, or they are taking the permit itself through the batch stamp phase. And what the batch stamp phase is, it's literally they will go through each page and the reviewer will stamp the page, letting the inspector know that these permits and these plans have been reviewed according to compliance and reviewed by the building department. So if you get a ready for issuance notification, that's what that means. But in any case, when the permit is approved, you will go into the building department and you will pay that fee and they will give you your permit, or you will pay that fee online with a credit or debit card, and then they will issue you your approved permit. All right, guys, so there you have it. That is the basic process that I follow when helping, contractors submit building permits. Like I say, every city, every municipality is different. So, some municipalities and building departments, they still do in-person submittals, some do online submittals. It just depends on the building, which building department you are submitting that permit to. So if you have any questions about, the process or how it works, please DM me, comment below. I will link my email in the description box below. But thank you guys so much for watching the video. I enjoy helping people understand this process and how they can add this, service to their existing business or start this as their first business. So I really appreciate all of your feedback, and I look forward to empowering and inspiring you on your journeys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.